Here are my top 10 ESL classroom energizers. So you know that Monday morning, Friday afternoon, students are a bit sleepy, not much is going on. They would actually most of your students would probably rather just put their heads down and have a little nap. Here's how to bring some energy into your classroom. So the first thing I like to do is a survey. So if you ask my students, they'll probably say that surveys are my favorite ESL activity. So they kind of fit like a whole bunch of topics, a whole bunch of grammar points, something like that. But here's just one example, a quick introduction survey. So students, I'll put questions on the survey, something like, is from Busan, likes pizza, plays soccer, something like that. And then each student will get a paper and they'll have to go around the classroom asking other students questions. Do you like soccer? Do you like pizza? Are you from Busan? If a student answers yes, they write down their name and then ask one follow-up question. So for example, do you like pizza? Yes, I do. And then students will have to ask a follow-up question. What's your favorite kind of pizza? And they could write down ham and pineapple. And they have to go around the classroom until they find one person who says yes to every question. So this just gets students up out of their desks and moving around the classroom. So the second one is running dictation. So I find or write a conversation kind of related to whatever I'm teaching that day. And then I put students into pairs. One student is the speaker and the reader, and the other person is the writer and the listener. So the person who's the reader stands up and walks around, they read a sentence, they memorize it, and they come back and say it to the person who's the writer, and the writer writes it down on the piece of paper. Then they go to the next one, and eventually they'll have all like maybe the 8 sentences or however many you have on the paper. Then they make a conversation. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. And this also gets students up out of their seats and just kind of creates some fun and excitement and competition in your class. All right, the third idea to kind of bring some energy back is just to give students a 2-minute break. So if you have like a long class, 2 or 3 hours, for example, students really need breaks. So if they're kind of struggling and having a hard time, I sometimes just say, okay, just take 2 minutes, look at your cell phone, stand up, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, just take 2 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll focus again. So give students just a little break. And sometimes I've been teaching kids at like a summer camp or a winter camp where they're sleeping over and they really have not had enough sleep. So sometimes I'll just say, okay, we're going to have 30 minutes of quiet time. Put your head on your desk. You can quietly read a comic book. You can do whatever you need to do. Just take a little bit of time and just rest and recharge. All right, the fourth idea is a picture show and tell. So I tell students to get out their phones and to choose one picture that they've taken recently, and then to tell their partner about what that picture is in English, of course. So students love using their cell phones and doing a little thing like that, so that brings a little bit of energy back into the class. If you teach kids, a nice energizer is Simon Says. So I'm sure you've all played this. Simon Says, touch your nose. Simon Says, stand on one leg, something like that. So that is a nice game to play with kids. The next one is a song. So I'm not musical, but that's no problem. YouTube has a million different karaoke things. So kind of choose a song that's related to your theme of the day and then play the karaoke version. And students, like in Korea at least, love to sing songs. So it can kind of just be a fun way to get some energy in your class. The next one is rock, scissor, paper. So I divide the class into 2 and we like line up facing each other. And then I say, okay, do rock, scissor, paper. And they do rock, scissor, paper with their partner. The losers sit down and then the winners all line up with each other again. And they do rock, scissor, paper. The losers sit down. Finally, you have one rock, scissor, paper person left. So there's no English involved in this, but it's just kind of a fun way to get students up out of their seats and just kind of doing something a little bit different and a little bit fun for a minute or two. The next one is 2 truths and a lie. So I'm sure you've done this before. It's just kind of a nice way to get students talking about themselves and just, I think students all kind of like being the detective and trying to figure out what the lie. And it's, works well for like kind of higher level or adult students. And it's just a fun way to get students talking and just doing something kind of different than what you would find in the usual ESL textbook. The next energizer is some board games and card games. So I really like to just kind of have a few in my office. And then if I teach like a very long class, for example, and we make it through the whole lesson, everything I had planned, I'll often just have a few games and a few card games, and students can just kind of go in small groups and play a little game with each other. Or sometimes I'll even have like board game classes as like just kind of a reward for working really hard, making it through the semester. And students really seem to enjoy that. It's just something different. And of course you can teach students phrases in English like pass the dice, it's your turn, and that kind of thing. All right, the last thing you can do is memory whiteboard. So write down a bunch of words on the whiteboard, just kind of things that you've been teaching in the previous classes, so you can use this as a review. Then I give students about 30 seconds to a minute to kind of study all the words and the locations of the words. And then I choose like 2 or 3 students, they go outside the classroom and I erase one word. And then students come back in, and the first student that says, cat was there, they get a point for their team. So then you can send out some other students, erase another word, and it just kind of gets students up out of their seats, and everyone is like intensely focused on these words and where they are and what you're erasing. Okay, so those are my top 10 classroom energizers for those sleepy Mondays or those boring Friday afternoons. So if you like these ideas, please be sure to check out my book, 103 Low Prep ESL Speaking Games and Activities. There are lots more ideas for fun and engaging things you can do in an ESL classroom. Also, please hit like, subscribe, and have some fun teaching your classes.